Tonight, a plea to keep in touch with our elderly community members and a local MP frustrated about community health data.
From our 7 Spencer Golf studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Good evening. Aged care homes across South Australia have begun to relax visitor restrictions in a bid to keep families connected with the elderly. Seniors Australia is welcoming the news, saying it is well overdue.
A fortress in lockdown now easing its restrictions. As of today, all South Australian aged care homes have lifted bans on interstate travellers and allowed easier access for emergency services. National Seniors Australia welcoming the move, but says more needs to be done.
Quite a few nursing homes are saying nobody, and they're managing their risk but creating an enormous humane risk to the families who will not see someone before they die.
Under the new regulation, interstate travellers won't have to self-quarantine for 14 days if visiting a terminally ill patient. But the devil's in the detail, as travellers must self-isolate when not visiting the facility.
That one was probably more extreme than it needed to be, and it's good to see that it's been loosened a bit.
Currently, children under 16 years old and those who have not received a flu shot will be denied access to aged care facilities. Experts say while the restrictions seem reasonable, it could be creating more harm than good.
It is such a hard thing for people to be excluded at these extreme times in life, and it leads to long-term distress, which we don't need in this time.
Aged care services pleading with residents to keep in touch with our elderly community members.
Lots of them are quite scared. A lot don't understand why we can't operate, which makes it extremely difficult.
Here at Matthew Flinders Daycare, staff deliver more than 130 warm meals to retirees each week. For many clients, it's the only social interaction they get.
It's also that one person knowing that somebody's going to pop in and see them. Not that we have a great deal of contact, but, just a chat through the door to make sure that they're okay. And then they know that in 2 nights' time it's coming again.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A Government Aged Care Quality and Safety Commission report has revealed a Port Augusta facility failed 5 of its 8 assessment standards. The Edenfield Family Care Narilda site had an unannounced audit in late January. A performance report saw 7 of the 42 assessments were non-compliant to the standard and requirement level. The site's accreditation will now expire on April 2021. The facility wouldn't comment on the case. They've been described as disgusting acts against people working to protect us, but still assaults against emergency service workers keep happening. Police say such incidents won't be tolerated after a man who claimed he had coronavirus allegedly coughed on an arresting officer.
A 34-year-old man who appeared here via video link at the Whyallas Magistrates Court yesterday has been remanded in custody. He's facing charges which include assaulting an emergency services worker. It's alleged he coughed in an officer's face and stated he had coronavirus. Authorities were called to a Whyalla Stewart address in relation to a disturbance yesterday morning, where the man was arrested at the scene for aggravated assault.
Shortly after, police were conveying that man back to Whyalla Police Station when he turned to one of the police officers and coughed in that person's face.
After stating he had coronavirus, he was taken to the Whyalla Hospital for testing, but screening checks confirmed he did not have any symptoms and did not meet the criteria to be eligible for a test.
This sort of thing's just despicable. I mean, to think that in the current climate where we've got people trying to watch, obviously, personal hygiene and social distancing, the fact that someone would turn to a police officer and cough in their face is quite disgusting.
This case, the first of its kind in Whyalla, but not the first in our region. A woman was arrested and fined for breaching coronavirus legislation when she was attempting to enter South Australia from near Broken Hill. It's alleged she too coughed on 2 officers. While these cases are still before the courts, similar incidents could land an offender in jail.
As a community, we're trying our best to stop the spread of COVID-19. People going out of their way and endangering the lives of others by coughing on them or doing anything that breaches social distancing is really jeopardising the safety of the community.
The Whyalla man will appear in court again next Thursday. Sophia Conchagonis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
The coronavirus curve may be flattening across the nation, but local MP Jeff Brock says South Australia is still lagging behind in transparency on where cases actually are. He's making a desperate plea for SA Health to release details on cases, particularly in regional areas.
Jeff Brock's fed up, claiming Spencer Gulf communities deserve more coronavirus information.
It's about transparency. It's about telling people exactly what's happening, because rumours get around. That is dangerous.
He's written to the Health Minister this week saying heat maps from SA Health don't give enough details.
For argument's sake, the Clare and Gilbert Valley Council, they've got about 15 small little hamlets or townships out there.
This interactive Melbourne map allows users to zoom in and view exact locations, now calls for SA Health to follow suit.
To identify where it may be in what suburb. The South Australian map, which even for metropolitan Adelaide, is a dead map. It's not a live map. You cannot zoom down, you cannot drill down.
In a statement, SA Health says the heat maps don't show exact locations due to privacy, and staff will continue to alert those in contact with positive cases. Responding to the statement, Jeff Brock says privacy is important, but so is knowledge.
Take extra precautions if they can do a little bit of extra.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
3 Port Lincoln motorists have lost their licences on the spot after being nabbed drug driving. The drivers were all caught over a 3-hour period, with all accused of returning positive readings for cannabis. Each driver was given a direction notice and their samples were sent for forensic testing. Still to come tonight, a Broken Hill bar evolves with the times and rate relief for regional residents. Hello again. A Broken Hill business famous for making milkshakes and ice cream spiders is thinking outside the square during this pandemic and has turned to making hand sanitizer. The owner of Bell's Milk Bar experimenting with the new addition to the online store.
Amidst the handmade syrups, gumballs and old-fashioned toys, it's the highly sought-after thing everyone wants.
Going around town, it's been really hard to find things like hand sanitizer, so there's obviously a need locally.
Last month, Jason made the tough decision to temporarily close Bell's Milk Bar due to coronavirus. A hotspot heavily reliant on people coming in store, it was hard to operate solely through takeaway.
It just wasn't worth it at the time to keep the doors open, being a primarily tourism-based business. That may change, but at the moment we're looking for new ways to keep things ticking along until this thing passes.
Like many businesses, the Milk Bar has pivoted to start selling products online, one of which will soon be Bell's branded hand sanitizer. Jason saying the choice to make it is a win-win, helping to keep the lights on and supply those in need.
We're set up out the back to make syrups, we've got the bottles, we've got the caps. They're all ready to go, and we've got staff that are now covered by the JobKeeper program, so we thought why not make some hand sanitizer, help pay the bills and make sure we're strong going forward at the end of this.
Locals are being encouraged to keep an eye on the Bell's Facebook page for when the sanitizer goes on sale. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Residents across the region can now make use of financial support to help ease pressure following the coronavirus pandemic. Tumby Bay and Port Lincoln councils are now offering repayment plans and deferrals for those impacted.
Falling in line with the new rules, councils across the region now offering support for residents feeling the financial pinch brought on by COVID-19. Port Lincoln Mayor holding a special council meeting to discuss the hardship policies.
We devised a new policy where we could look at rate deferral for businesses or individuals.
The financial support covers 3 main areas: ease of rate payments if you've been affected by COVID-19, lease areas for community organisation, and selected fines and fees.
It's not just automatic. I must reinforce that you have to apply for it and you have to be able to prove hardship as well as a result of the COVID-19.
Similarly, Tumby Bay residents have been thrown a lifeline with repayment plans and deferrals being put in place.
It's really important that each ratepayer who've been affected by the COVID-19 situation, whether it's in Tumby Bay Council or around the state, recognises that their council is willing to help them through the situation.
Wakefield Council, the first in South Australia to completely scrap all council rates for people in hardship, but it doesn't look like it'll be implemented here anytime soon.
I think that there's a possibility that we've looked at that, but there's just so much that's been going on. I'm not 100% sure on how we're dealing with that.
Any measures that are put in place are targeted to the places where there's been the biggest impact. This policy, which we've brought in place, will be able to put those targeted measures in place.
Nathan Richter, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
And councils across the region are connecting public meetings online to accommodate social distancing regulations. The Port Pirie Council will be live streaming its monthly meeting tonight for community members to be able to watch from home. Broken Hill, Port Augusta and Port Lincoln councils will also be following suit, arranging online meetings. The Whyalla Council has restricted public access to their meetings, but community members can still submit questions online. A viral dance trend has seen Broken Hill businesses start to challenge one another to bust out their best moves. A number of stores have already taken on the task with some hilarious results.
A viral dance challenge that's found its way to the Silver City. While business has been a bit slow for many stores across Broken Hill, that hasn't stopped them from having a laugh and making the most of it. After Rosie at the Sitting Bull was busted dancing in her store by the girls at Sampson's, she's doubled down by doing the Blinding Lights challenge.
The girls over there were having a good little laugh, so I gave them a ring and said, look, if I come out the front and do it out the front for you, you have to learn the dance and do it back.
And they responded. When a business is challenged, they have 24 hours to get the dance done. Yesterday it was the Gourmet Crib Tins go.
Me and Summer are not the most coordinated people, but hey, we gave it a go and we had a lot of fun.
Today, the gauntlet was thrown down to the team at Blue Frog Optics.
Definitely check out our Facebook page later on tonight, Blue Frog Optics, and you might be in for a little treat.
Rosie says the only aim was to put smiles on people's faces.
If you can't dance, it doesn't matter. Just have a little bit of fun and press upload. Then it's gone and it's out there.
Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
And don't they look wonderful? Stay with us after the break while the musicians take on the airwaves online and a different kind of birthday celebration for the Central Oval Community Hub. Welcome back. Local musicians around Whyalla have found new creative ways to share their music. With most gigs cancelled for the foreseeable future, local artists are posting performances online to keep connected with their fans.
These musicians not letting the virus get in the way of doing what they love. Ain't nobody gonna steal this heart away. Sharing their songs online as a way for viewers to escape their reality.
Music is powerful, and I think music really has the power to cheer people up. I know a lot of people feeling down.
Emily Rawlings, a singer by profession, has been affected hard by coronavirus, losing a large amount of income on cancelled performances.
Obviously, all of us musos are out of gigs. I've had the 3 biggest gigs of my year cancelled. There's probably more to come, so that's really downing me out.
Emily also had to stop working with the Whyalla Music Association, an upsetting time for both herself and her 25+ students. A feeling all too well known by local artist Kathy Daniel. She recently formed a new band, ready for the opportunities this year would bring. But after only 2 practices, the band's development was interrupted by COVID-19.
Besides the fact that I'm not performing in front of people, which is what I kind of live for, I think I've lost time.
Time she says she will never get back, but it hasn't stopped her from sharing her lifelong passion.
Life hasn't stopped. We can still go and we can still move forward.
One of the first Whyalla musicians to get the ball rolling online was Graham Stevenson.
I mainly stream covers. And part of that process is that I program a lot of my backing tracks that I do myself.
Also affected with loss of performances and income, Graham says band interaction is what he misses most.
Communication and interaction with musicians, that is really probably hit us pretty hard.
But if you're missing interactions like going to the pub and watching a band play a full set of songs, Jackdaw's Facebook page provides energetic entertainment.
It's important to stay connected, and we've, like everyone today, we've had to adapt.
Jamming together for 15 years, they encourage the public to go online and share their support.
Kind of bringing people together in a way that we didn't realise would happen.
Sophia Conchagonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
It's been half a decade since the official opening of the Central Oval building in Port Augusta. The community hub is being celebrated as a place for locals to enjoy while also bringing tourists to the town.
A day to reflect on all that Central Oval has to offer.
Today is a very special day for us because it's our 5th birthday, so we're finally graduating from kindy into school.
While the site is at a bit of a standstill because of the pandemic, more than 100,000 people come through the doors each year. The building home to many sporting clubs and no stranger to hosting events.
Foosball, basketball, netball, yoga, so there's different events that are held here, weddings and so forth, conferences, we've had expos, so it's a multi-use facility and it's a great thing for everybody to use.
The local mayor says the upgraded grounds have many benefits, not just for those who use the facilities.
If we have a function here, for example, we have 2,000 people for 4 days visiting our city. How many coffee shops, restaurants, motels, hotels benefit from that?
The project, a culmination of state, federal and local government funding.
Started planning for this back in 2007 and it wasn't until 2013 that we really got the funds to do it, to complete it.
And there's still ongoing upgrades. The Oval Turf is nearing completion. The Mayor looking forward to the future.
The next 5 years, I'd love to see a nice picket fence around there, an AFL game once a year and an AFLW game once a year, and use it for multi-purpose sports, maybe the soccer, and move outside and look outside the square what we can do.
And although celebrations can't be physical this year, the community can get involved on the council's social media platforms.
We're going to release a lot of information, a lot of history on social media, and then we'll launch into what we're going to try and do in the future.
Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. We'll take a look at fuel prices around the region and we'll have the weather with Britt. Thanks for joining us. For a look at the fuel prices around the region, here's Patrick Reinke.
It's been 2 weeks since we last looked at the regional fuel prices. Let's see what's changed over the past 14 days. Starting with unleaded, and the only one to see an increase in the averages is Adelaide, the South Australian capital, jumping from a very cheap 89 cents a litre back up to $1.04. Port Lincoln is around that mark, falling from $1.20 to $1.08, a change of about 12 cents. When we left the action, Port Augusta was one of the most expensive. 2 weeks later, it still is at $1.22. Broken Hill is a cent more than that after a substantial drop. Kadina has crept under $1 and is now the cheapest on the board at a dazzling 92 cents a litre. Port Pirie not too far behind on $1.10. Turning over to diesel now, and the whole board is green. Port Lincoln has plummeted by 15 cents to be one of the cheapest behind Kadina, $1.16 the price there. Whyalla is down 17 cents to $1.22. Port Augusta down 9 cents to $1.21. Broken Hill is the most expensive but has still enjoyed a 10-cent drop, a little less at $1.28. Adelaide rounds out the board on $1.18. Finishing off with a look at Autogas, and there's been plenty of movement over the past fortnight. Port Lincoln the only place to see red, ticking up by 4 cents to 92 a litre. Whyalla sits on 93. Port Augusta doing a lot better, taking a 10-cent tumble to 89. Port Pirie is one of the cheapest in the Spencer Gulf at 84. Kadina remarkably seeing no movement. Broken Hill is basking in a recent drop to 85. Things are good in Adelaide, city drivers only paying 75 cents. Now remember that these prices are the regional averages and they do not reflect any one particular outlet. And if you do find a spot that does sell unleaded, auto gas or diesel for cheaper, be sure to let us know on our Facebook page.
Now for a look at what's happening in the weather, here's Britt Aylan.
Thanks, Louise, and good evening.
After a foggy start, conditions cleared to a mostly sunny day, 25 degrees the top at Whyalla. Looking around the grounds, we saw maximums in the mid to late 20s about the region, reaching 29 degrees at Port Augusta and Woodner, 27 at Port Pirie, 26 at Broken Hill and Kadina, Port Lincoln 25. From the satellite, mostly clear skies under a broad area of high pressure. Now that was Wednesday, moving along to your Thursday, and we will start with the Gulf waters, variable winds at 5 to 10 knots, becoming northeast to northwesterly through the morning. Seas below 1 metre. Showers through the day at Port Lincoln with a possible storm, looking at a top of 24 degrees. Much the same at Cleve, 25, and Woodner with a top of 27. Showers forecast for Whyalla and Port Augusta tomorrow, most likely in the morning or afternoon, both with a possible thunderstorm. Tops of 25 degrees. Kadina, showers and 23. Showers at Port Pirie, also with a top of 23 degrees. Clare looking wet with a possible thunderstorm in the afternoon, 21 the top. Remaining dry at Broken Hill, partly cloudy with a top of 27 tomorrow. Looking ahead now to the end of the week, patchy morning fog to start the day on Friday, clearing to a fine and mostly sunny afternoon. 26 at Broken Hill, Whyalla, Kadina and Port Lincoln all looking at tops of 22. Saturday, partly cloudy with a bit of morning fog, possible evening showers about the York and Eyre Peninsulas, 29 at Port Augusta and Broken Hill, Woodner a top of 27. Possible showers about the region on Sunday with maximum sitting in the early to mid-20s. And that brings us to the end of today's weather segment. With showers forecast across the region tomorrow, Louise, we've got perfect conditions to stay at home.
Lovely, thank you for that, Britt. And that's your local news this Wednesday evening. Thank you, as always, for joining us. We'll have updates later, but until then, have a lovely and safe evening. Good night.